Hey guys, it's Abby from Autumn of Pelennor, and today I'm going to be going through my May reading wrap-up. So I have had a much better month this month. It's not went mad, I've not went back to how I was reading, but I have read more books and I'm really happy with it. As I'm filming this on the 28th because that is when I have the free time and the house is available, and as I'm reading I have this much left of Priory. Guys, are you so proud of me? So, and I seem to be reading it at night time, which as you can tell, it is not. I don't have studio lights, this is a window. So I'm going to be filming two versions of this wrap-up. One including if I finish Priory by the end of the month, and one if I don't. I've already taken two different thumbnails, so you will know if I finish Priory by which one of these I upload, because I'm gonna edit out whichever one is not relevant. So let's get into the wrap-up. First up was Greyfriars Bobby by Eleanor Atkinson. I finished this on the 1st of May, finally finished this book. This is a classic literature piece, which I didn't know going into it, about this dog called Bobby who falls in love with his master, and then his master passes away and he refuses to leave his graveside. This is a true story, this happened in Edinburgh, and I picked this book up when I was a kid. I thought it was when I was 12, I asked my mum, she thinks it was when I was 9, so it's even older than I thought. Oops. And yeah, I picked this up when I was in Edinburgh, I finally read it. It is a beautiful story, but I'm not so keen on the book itself. The writing style wasn't great, and the way that the Scottish accent was portrayed was weird. At some points it over-explained the different dialects and slang words and stuff. I mean, I am half Scottish. Sometimes I would go to my mum like, look what they've done! She's like, why are they doing that? She's the Scottish one. But then I found out that Eleanor Atkinson's actually American, so that could kind of explain it, because she's going to be explaining the accent for an American audience rather than a British one even, let alone someone who is familiar with the Scottish dialect a little bit. So that kind of explains the weirdness of that. It is a really cute story. I do recommend finding out at least about this story because it's really cute. And if you enjoy reading classics, then I recommend this one. If you're not a big classics reader, I would skip this. What did I even give it for a star rating? Like 3? 3. Another 3-star read is The Undertaker's Daughter by Kate Mayfield. I should say right now, for me 3 stars isn't bad. Like, it's out of 5, a half, which would be a, you know, a decent book, is 2.5. For me 3 stars is a good book, just not one I'm gonna write home about. So The Undertaker's Daughter is a memoir of Kate's life when she was living in her father's undertaking business as a child in the south of America. This was really interesting. I've been watching Caitlin Doughty, the Ask a Mortician channel, for quite a few years now, so this is why I ended up picking this up, because I was interested. And it does also give a glimpse into life in the south in the 70s, I believe, in the US, which isn't something I'm familiar with, so that was interesting to learn more about, but also just learning about someone living in a funeral home was really interesting. Again, 3 stars. This isn't one I would recommend to everyone, and it's not a book that I'm gonna like count as a new favourite, but it was really interesting to learn about, so if this is your sort of thing, then. Oh, then. I did it. Kind of. So, I give this 2 stars, but I only kind of read it. Okay, so if you haven't seen my previous video, Othello was my pick for the BookTube Rereadathon prompt this month, which was to read a second chance book. I originally DNF'd this and then gave it 1 star because I couldn't give it 0 on Goodreads. I was really not looking forward to having to pick this back up again. And the only way I actually ended up getting through it was the SparkNotes. We don't really use SparkNotes in Britain because it is an American thing, it's created by Barnes & Nobles, but I see why I see Americans raving about it now because it was so helpful. I originally googled to check because I didn't understand what was happening in the first act, and I went on and I checked and I read through and it made a lot more sense. I actually understood what was going on. I And then I just kind of kept reading through that because it was a lot more helpful. So technically I haven't finished it because I'm reading through the rest of it like properly, but at the same time I'm counting this as read and I'm just going to read through kind of when I want to. I've read the book, I understand the play now, I know exactly what happens. I gave it 2 stars. It's a lot better when I actually know what's going on, but I still didn't like it. I think I don't like Shakespeare's renditions of ancient Rome, which is a pity because I love ancient Rome. Yeah, this was a weird one, but at least I've read it now, kind of. The reason it's taking me so long to actually just get through the rest of it is because I'm highlighting it. I'm writing my thoughts and stuff down as well. Never reading it again. And next, Bedlam by Derek Landy. This is the, oh god even knows, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 11th? This is the somethingth book in the Skullduggery Pleasant series. I have been reading this series since I was a child. I adore them so much, and for some reason, even though I got this like not long after it came out, I wasn't in the country when it came out, so I got it as soon as I came back, and I just hadn't picked it up. But Seasons of War, the next book, has come out and I have purchased it. So I had to get to this, and as expected, I gave it 5 stars. Unsurprising, I adore these books. I didn't realise until I actually put it in with the other ones how much bigger this is compared to the other 2 in this half of the series. He's like split it into sections. So I didn't realise how big this one was. So it did take me a few more days to get through. I kind of read it, I could have forced myself to read it faster, but I didn't want to. And I'm not going to explain what it's about because it is like quite far into the series, but the first book, at this point, one of our main characters is 25. We start off when she's like 11. But the first book in the series follows a skeleton detective and a young girl who discovers magic in Northern Ireland, and they go about being kick-ass and solving crimes. Is kind of the premise of the first book. It's a middle grade series. It does get surprisingly dark, but it is a middle grade series. So I just, please, if you haven't read Skullduggery Pleasant, why not? It's so good. So yes, this was a 5-star read. I adore it so much. Can't wait to read Seasons of War. But I'm leaving a bit of time so I don't confuse Bedlam and Seasons of War and get them mixed up. And then, guys, Priory of the Orange Tree. I finished it. I finished it. I finished it. I have been reading this since it came out, which was in like March 2019. Now obviously throughout all of 2019 I was a bit busy at uni. What is my excuse this year? I have none. It has just taken me forever to get through. I was reading it in, I mean obviously, as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, haven't actually finished it yet. This is just, I'm so happy that I finished it before the end of the month. I adore this so much. I'm loving it. The characters are so well developed. I am incredibly invested. The dips and the rises have been insane. This is a beautiful book, and it has solidified for me the fact that I love fantasy. 5 stars. I love it so much. It's amazing, and I'm so happy that I can finally say I've read it. So, on to this month's stats. These are heavy. In total, I read 5 books, and that's at 2,116 pages thanks to this bad boy. I know I didn't read all of these pages in this month, but I read more than half of them, and I can't be asked, to be perfectly frank with you. Averaging it out, just with these 4 books, I was reading 41 pages per day and reading a book in 8 days. As I said before, haven't yet finished this, so the stats won't quite work out until I say exactly how many days it took me. So, I read 2 classics, 1 memoir, and 2 fantasy. 3 of them were by female authors, and 2 by men. 2 were kids' books, and 3 were adult books. 4 of them were standalones, and 1 from a series. 2 paperback books, 3 hardbacks, 2 authors from the United States, 1 from Ireland, and 2 from the UK. And those are all of the books that I read. It is a much better month than previously. Obviously, January and February was still better for me. I was still reading at the usual pace, but for some reason, lockdown just messed me up. I don't entirely know why. Haven't yet psychoanalyzed it that deeply. I'm getting back on track, slowly. So these are all the books that I read this month. Let me know down below if you've read any of these. And if you've read Priory, let me know and tell me how long it took you. It will not have been as long as it's taken me. And if it has, hi, welcome to the club. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!